Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this video I wanted to talk about my breast implants, my experience with getting them, and then why I'm choosing to get them removed. A couple things before we start this video. This video is just of me talking the whole time, so like what I do is whenever I'm cooking or cleaning or driving or folding clothes, like I normally just listen to a podcast. So just kind of treat this as a podcast, like please feel free to like cook or clean or do whatever you need to do and just kind of listen, because you don't need to watch me talk the entire time. The second thing is that this video is geared more for the ladies. So if you're a guy and watching, you may find this video kind of boring, unless you're just wanting more information about breast implant illness and your wife, your girlfriend, your mom, your sister, somebody in your life has breast implants and you're just kind of curious about it. So the other thing is this is what you're getting today. I'm feeling pretty tired. I didn't want to put on makeup. I'm not looking cute for this video, and I'm getting to wear my cool new glasses for y'all. So sorry for the glare, if there's like a glare on my eyes. But let's just kind of jump right in. So in 2009, I got breast implants. I just got home from Iraq. I had some extra money. I wanted bigger boobs. One of my friends and I, we went and got a consult, and I believe it was that same week that we had our surgery. I had surgery done on a Saturday. I don't remember what cc's I got, but I did get saline implants, and they're put under the muscle. Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of research about it. I just figured they're safe, they're saline. I wasn't getting the silicone ones, even though they claim that the silicone ones were a lot more safe at that time, as opposed to in like the 80s, whenever everyone was having lawsuits. The silicone now are like gummy bears, so if they were to break open, they still somewhat stay intact. It's not just like this silicone liquid that's leaking into your body. So anyway, I went with saline, one because I thought it was safer, and two because it was cheaper. I got them done in Honolulu, Hawaii. It was $6,500. I had a really good experience with my breast implants. I loved my surgeon. I loved my surgical team. The nurses were amazing. Everyone was very sweet and very helpful. Coming out of surgery, it was really painful. I felt like a bag of bricks was just sitting on my chest. I had a hard time breathing. It caused a lot of anxiety because you can't take like a good breath, but I just figured like, well, it's part of the process, right? You're supposed to have some pain after surgery. I went back to my friend's house because I was single at the time. I lived in the barracks. I couldn't go back to the barracks. I didn't have anyone to take care of me. So I went to my friend's house, who also got her breast implants done that same day, and I stayed at her house for a day. She took care of me, and then I went back home on Sunday to the barracks, and I went back to work on Monday, and that was not a good idea. I was in a lot of pain. If you're familiar with the military, I did get like a PT profile. I wasn't allowed to like lift anything or do any strenuous exercise. So if you are getting breast implants, please give yourself a good amount of time to heal. I did not give myself a good amount of time to heal, but it all turned out fine. So I was 20 years old whenever I got my implants. I really liked them. I didn't really have any issues. I would say the only thing is you have to wear this strap, or at least I did, that helps kind of push the implants down, so they're kind of settling down into your chest. And my left one always kind of sat a little bit higher, and as I've gotten older and as my implants have gotten older, I have developed kind of like a contracture on my left breast, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So like I said, I didn't really have any issues with my implants. Another thing is surgically they went in through my armpit, so I don't have any scars on my nipples or underneath my breast. I don't know if they're still doing the auxiliary technique, putting them in, but that's what I chose, and I thought it was fine. I have very minimal scarring there now. So 2009 was whenever I got my implants. 2009 was also the same year that I developed hypothyroidism. I struggled really bad with chronic fatigue. Like to the point where I would come home from work and just sleep, and I could sleep until the next morning when I had to get back up for work. And I would tell this to people, I told this to my doctors, and everybody just kind of wrote me off as like, well, you're busy, you know, you're in the Army, you work out all the time, but I didn't know why I was just so tired, and my lab values showed that I had hypothyroidism, but it went unnoticed and undetected, and nobody ever treated me for it until several years later. I got out of the Army in 2010, and I started developing some weird skin rashes, mostly like in my armpits, under my breasts, my inguinal area. And so naturally, like, you think it's like fungal related, because that's where like yeast will kind of build up if you're like sweating and stuff. So I went to the doctor, I was put on antifungals. A couple weeks later, it wasn't improving. I went back to the doctor, I was put on antibiotics, and that made it worse. So these medications, they weren't helping me. I was switching back and forth. This went on for a couple months. My stepmom got me a consult with a naturopath, and she found out that I had heavy metal toxicity. My body was overloaded with heavy metals, so I had to detox from heavy metals. My rash went away. And that's interesting because the shell of the implant, so like I said, I have saline implants, but the shell of the implant is still silicone based, and it has a lot of different material in there, and toxins and heavy metals. So that could be a potential reason why I was having these issues. Moving on further down the line, I developed polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. However, I didn't have any of the classic symptoms of PCOS like high testosterone, growing facial hair, kind of all of those things, like excessive weight gain. Really for me, I was having abnormal period cycles. So I could not have a period for like 50 days, and then my next period could come in like 40 days, or, you know, it was just, I never knew when I was going to get my period, and that's because I wasn't ovulating at regular intervals. That was also leading to my infertility. I couldn't get pregnant, which was super frustrating. All this while, I'm still dealing with chronic fatigue. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And a lot of my depression stemmed from my chronic fatigue. Like, I was just so tired all the time, and I had all these things I wanted to do, things I needed to get done. I was a full-time student. I was going through nursing school, and dealing also too with like some past trauma, trying to work through that. So yes, I can see why I was diagnosed with depression. However, I think depression was more of a symptom as opposed to a diagnosis. It was a symptom of having chronic fatigue, dealing with these health issues when I felt like I shouldn't. I felt like, you know, I'm active, I'm young, I eat healthy. Like, I feel like I'm checking all these boxes, and I'm not getting any better. I'm not feeling any better. Let's see. I did write down some notes. So let's see. Brain fog, as you can probably tell, I'm kind of a little scattered. Brain fog and like some short-term memory loss, having trouble finding my words, just feeling like I kind of live in like this like constant haze all the time. And I didn't have that really like from the beginning. It's definitely gotten worse throughout time. I would say a lot of my major symptoms have developed over the last couple years after I had my son Wyatt, and that was in September of 2017. So now we're reaching about 2.5 years of having some of these major symptoms. I'm just going to kind of go down the list since I have it here. Chronic headaches, vertigo, where I feel very dizzy, also extreme lightheadedness, near syncopal episodes. I went to the doctor for this last year, I believe, because it was getting to a point where I was like, okay, like I need to see somebody about this. I'm about to pass out just standing up. I'm about to pass out in the gym. I went and saw a doctor. I was diagnosed with hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar, yet they never once checked my blood sugar. Let's see, ringing in the ears, and that could also be from my time in the military. However, it wasn't really big back when I was in the military. It's gotten worse over these last couple years. just my eyesight too. That's another thing that has like started to go, and that's why I wear these cool glasses now. My eyes just feel like heavy and strained all the time. I've developed like bags underneath my eyes. Yeah, blurry vision. It started out like mostly at nighttime, and then it's progressed to daytime now. So I do wear glasses mostly to read and while I'm driving. I don't need them all the time, but if I notice that if I'm not wearing them, my eyes do get tired very easily and they feel very strained very easily. Let's see, facial rashes. I've developed a rosacea or a rosacea-like rash on this side of my face. I do have it a little bit over here, and that does make me concerned for lupus, even though I've tested negative. My ANA test was negative, so that's good. But with lupus, you have a lot of the same symptoms that I have, and it's an autoimmune disorder, and you develop this butterfly-type facial rash that starts on your cheeks, and it kind of comes up through the bridge of your nose. Another thing I get is cold sensitivity and Raynaud's syndrome, or Raynaud's syndrome, I don't know how you say it, but it's basically where like parts of your fingers turn white, you lose feeling in them, feels like pins and needles. It happens in my feet as well. It's really strange. I've had that for years. Yeah, I can't really explain it. Cold sensitivity, that's part of hypothyroidism too. Another thing I have is breast pain. My boobs feel constantly achy. Like, so for those of you women who have been pregnant and who have breastfed, you know that feeling like whenever you're kind of newly pregnant and your boobs just like ache, or like right before your period and your boobs are just kind of achy. Like mine feel like that all the time, and then I get a mix of like this deep, sharp, like visceral stabbing pain that happens really quick and then it's gone, but it's just so weird. And usually it's like underneath my breast is where I get it the most. One of my newer symptoms has been this like chest itchiness, but from the inside. So if I were to scratch my chest, like scratch my skin, it doesn't relieve it. It's like something that's happening from within. It's so weird. Chest pain, heart palpitations. I went to the ER last year because I thought I was having a heart attack. For 4 days straight, I was getting symptoms of feeling like someone was sitting on my chest, like an elephant was sitting on my chest. I couldn't catch my breath. I was getting chest pain that radiated up to my jaw and radiated down my arm. So on the 4th day, my husband was at work, and I called and I told him what was going on. I was having heart palpitations, and he called me an ambulance. I went to the ER. All of my tests came back negative for a heart attack, thank God, and I wasn't left with any answers at all. I did go see a cardiologist, and he knew of my history of having anxiety, so he just diagnosed me with a panic attack, and that was it. On the monitor, I did have an arrhythmia, and I did have hypertension while I was at the hospital and while in transport. It could be due to me, you know, being really upset and being like having some anxiety, because yes, I did have anxiety, but it wasn't like I had an anxiety attack that led to this chest pain. I had this chest pain, heart palpitations, radiating symptoms that led me to have anxiety. So I don't know if I truly had hypertension or if it was like anxiety-induced hypertension, which is high blood pressure. Another thing is just kind of feeling like constantly inflamed. I have a lot of digestive issues, like slow digestion, stomach bloating. I retain water really easily. I feel puffy, like my face, like I'll just wake up and my face just feels puffy, like under my eyes just feel really puffy. And all I do is drink water. Like I rarely drink alcohol, maybe once a month or so I'll drink wine. And if you know me, like I competed in the bikini division of bodybuilding last year. Like I cut out all alcohol, like all I drink is water, really. So I don't feel like I should be retaining water as I'm constantly drinking it and like flushing my flushing my body out. Let's see, I might be missing some symptoms, but anyway, to kind of tie it all together, so I'm having all these crazy symptoms. I've been seeing doctors for years about several of them, mostly the chronic fatigue, and nobody has been able to give me answers. I will say I was finally diagnosed, like officially diagnosed with hypothyroidism, I think 4 years ago. I saw a doctor in my area who is more health and fitness based and holistic, and he treated me based on my symptoms, and all of my thyroid lab values were on the lower end of normal, signaling hypothyroidism, but they weren't under the normal. So he treated me for hypothyroidism. Once I got on meds, a lot of my chronic fatigue started to go away, some of my cold sensitivity. However, it still lingers, and I do have bad days. I do have days that are worse than others. So yeah, kind of lost my train of thought there. Oh, but to tie it all back together, so I've been seeing all these doctors, nobody's giving me answers. I'm getting bullshit diagnoses like hypoglycemia, and I saw a different doctor before for hypothyroidism, knowing that I have hypothyroidism, telling them I'm still chronically fatigued, I'm having cold sensitivity, I'm having digestive issues, and they checked my labs and they're on the lower end of normal, but because they were normal, they wouldn't increase my meds, and she diagnosed me with depression. Well, no, like I already know I've been diagnosed with depression before, but I'm still having all these symptoms, and now you want to put me on an antidepressant medication. So just having doctors like tell me that I'm crazy, I'm making all this up, it's all in my head, like it doesn't make sense. I feel like I'm an educated person, you know, I'm a nurse, I'm in the healthcare profession, I'm very in tune with my body. So a couple years ago, I guess a little bit more than, like probably three and a half years ago, I was struggling with infertility again, and I didn't have a reason why. And one of my friends reached out to me and she's like, hey, like, I think your breast implants could be, you know, causing this. I think they could be making you sick. And I didn't believe her at first. You know, I told her like, no way, mine are saline, they're safe. Like my doctor said they're safe. I don't have any issues with them. But it kind of planted a seed in me, and I started looking it up probably within the next year or so after she told me, because another friend, or not another friend, but another woman that I know was having BII symptoms, which I didn't really know about, but that's why she had hers removed, and then she felt better. So I was intrigued. And honestly, whenever I was pregnant and while I was nursing, my boobs got so big, like I was really disgusted with them. Like I didn't like them. I felt the need to like cover them and hide them. They were way too big for my body. And I just kind of knew after I had my second son that like, I don't really want these anymore. Like when it's time for them to come out, like they need to go. I don't want them anymore. So towards the end of 2019, I started looking more into the breast implant illness symptoms, and I found a few people on YouTube who were talking about their experiences with their breast implants and what symptoms they were having and why they chose to explant. And I fortunately found this community of women who were having the same symptoms that I was having, and it just kind of clicked. It made sense, and I was to the point where I really kind of disconnected myself from them. I don't really want them anymore. So if I'm going to get them removed and possibly resolve a lot of my symptoms, why not, right? I will say, like, after I lost my baby weight, after I was done breastfeeding, my breast size did go back down. So I basically just have implants. I don't have a whole lot of breast tissue. And there are some days where I still kind of like them. But more days than not, I feel like they're too big for my body. If you know me, I'm short. I'm 4'11". My weight is usually around 110 to 115 pounds, so I'm a pretty petite person. The cc range of mine, I believe it's somewhere in between like 250 and 300 cc's, so I didn't get like a really large implant. However, for my body, they feel big. And you know, I'm in my early 30s. I'm a mom of 2. I just kind of feel this need that like I just don't want them anymore. I've done a lot of praying about it. I've done a lot of meditating about it, and I keep getting this overwhelming sense of somebody, you know, like a higher power, God, just telling me like, just get them removed, you know, just take them out, go back to the basics, go back to you. I'm really kind of excited to have small boobs again, you know, just kind of have my normal boobs again. I guess we'll see what my normal is. I feel like I had a good run with my breast implants in my 20s. I don't feel like I want them or need them anymore. So in December of 2019, I had a consult with a surgeon who was associated with my health insurance. And I told him about all of my BII symptoms. I told him, I want my implants removed, I want the capsules removed, just take it all out of me. And he wasn't very explant friendly. He told me he would take my breast implants out, but he would want to leave the capsules in. And before he would take my breast implants out, he wanted to deflate them and have me walk around like that for 4 to 6 weeks to see how I would like my body. Basically, he wanted to sell me a new pair of implants. He told me how ugly I would be. He told me how deformed my body would look. He told me that I would be very unhappy with the results. I kept expressing to him that I would want the capsules removed. So if you don't know, when the implants go in, it's a foreign body or foreign object in your body, and your body develops a capsule around it to protect your body. And that capsule is trying to contain that foreign object, and it's trying to prevent any toxins that are in that foreign object from leaking out into the body. So basically you have this shell, right? And inside of that shell are all of these toxins. And yes, some of it is leaching out into your body, but not at the rate that it would if you didn't have that capsule. So to open up that capsule, to take the implant out, and to sew up your body with that open capsule still left in your body, what are you doing? You're just exposing your body to all of those toxins. So it's very important that if you are going to explant, that you get the capsule removed. So he wasn't very educated on explants. He does a lot of implants. He does a lot of plastic surgery, not a lot of explants. He also didn't believe any of my symptoms. He said that breast implants are completely safe. He doesn't see anybody with my symptoms, that it wouldn't relieve any of my symptoms, and basically I would be left with no boobs that are deformed and just feeling worse about myself. So I did not go back to this surgeon. And it was very unfortunate because my insurance did approve me to get my explant. My insurance was going to pay it. I think I would have had to pay like $1,000 deductible. So it would have been a lot more affordable for me. Fortunately, I was referred to another plastic surgeon that one of my friends had used. I went and saw him, and I love him and his team. He's very explant friendly. I didn't really discuss any of my BII symptoms with him, mostly out of fear because of my last experience with the surgeon, kind of being open and vulnerable and talking about those. However, he does respect that I just want my implants removed. He will take them out with the capsules intact, all in one, so it's called an in-block procedure. I do want the in-block, however, I did let him know, if you get in there and the capsule has grown into other places, obviously you can't take the capsule out with the implant all at one go. So if he had to go in and take the implant out and then, have to unfortunately scrape the capsule out of different parts, then that, it is what it is. He's going to do the best that he can in that situation. But so I have to pay out of pocket now to get my implants removed. It's costing me a little over $5,800, but I feel like it's worth it. I've had them for 11 years. Regardless if I wanted them removed or not, I'm to the point now where it's been 11 years and they need to be removed or, completely, or they need to be replaced. Breast implants are not lifetime devices. Yes, women do have them in their bodies for many years, some of them, 20 plus years. However, it's that's not kind of the best thing to do for your body if you're going to have implants. You do need to get them replaced. Yeah. I love my surgeon. I am explanting on March 11th. And I do plan to kind of document a little bit of my my post-operative time, and just kind of letting y'all in on how I'm feeling, what the, how everything's going, what the healing's looking like. I feel like I have mentally prepared myself for quite a while as to what my breasts will look like. Yes, they will be deflated. I might have some extra skin. I've chosen not to do a breast lift right now, mainly because I might want to have another baby in the future, and in order to get a breast lift, they do cut into the mammary glands, and I want to breastfeed. The other thing is, if I do have a baby in the future, then my breasts are going to expand again and then deflate, and then I'll have more extra skin. So it's kind of like, if I'm going to get a lift, I might as well make it worth it and do it down the line whenever I know that I'm done having babies. But you know, I've been pregnant twice. I've seen my belly expand twice and deflate, and my skin has gone back pretty well. Like, I don't really have a whole lot of extra skin. So I'm going to give myself some time to heal, time for my skin to retract, and just kind of see what my body does on its own. Like, I really believe that through good diet and exercise and just overall health and wellness, that your body can do amazing things. So I'm really hopeful that my body can heal itself and my skin will go back kind of naturally, and maybe I won't need a lift in the future. But yeah, so I wanted to leave everybody with some resources. I'm going to leave some resources in the description below. I'm not really knowledgeable about all of the ingredients that are in the breast implant or all of the symptoms of BII. So I want to leave you some resources to where you can look it up for yourself, especially if you're skeptical and you're not just taking my word for it. All I wanted to do in this video was just share my experience and my story. I don't have all the scientific facts, and I'm not going to act like I do. So again, I'll leave those resources and you can look them up on your own if you'd like. And just thank you guys for being here. Thanks for listening to my story. I hope that it's helped somebody. And yeah, I appreciate you all. Some good vibes on my surgery day would be appreciated. And thank you again. See you later. Bye.